The letter trembled in my hands as the world crashed around me. $250,000. Gone. Just like that. The college fund I'd spent 17 years building for my daughter had vanished into thin air. I'm Anna, and until today, I thought I was living proof that hard work and determination could overcome anything. Starting with nothing but a food truck and a dream, I built a successful catering company that serves half of Boston's elite. Every extra penny went into Emma's future. My daughter would have opportunities I never had. Mom? Emma's voice drifted down from upstairs. Have you seen my blue sweater? Check the laundry room, honey, I called back, struggling to keep my voice steady. The acceptance letter from Stanford lay on my kitchen counter, mocking me. Emma had earned her spot. Perfect grades, volunteer work, the whole package. But now... My phone buzzed. Deborah's name flashed across the screen. My mother-in-law's timing was impeccable, as always. Anna, darling, her sugary voice made my stomach turn. I simply must know if Emma's wearing the pearl necklace I gave her to prom next week. Deborah. I cut her off, my voice ice cold. The college fund is empty. Care to explain? Silence crackled through the line. Then, oh, that. Well, there were some unexpected investments. Investments? I gripped the counter so hard my knuckles turned white. You were supposed to be managing that account for Emma's future, not gambling it away at Mohegan Sun. Don't take that tone with me, Deborah snapped. I am still your mother-in-law, and... You're my ex-husband's mother, who convinced me to let you manage Emma's college fund because of your financial expertise. Was that all a lie, too? These things happen in investing, Anna. You'll simply have to get over it. Perhaps Emma should consider community college. It would be more appropriate for your situation anyway. The line went dead. I stood there, shaking with rage, when Emma appeared in the doorway. Mom? What's wrong? I turned to face my daughter, my beautiful, brilliant girl who deserved the world. Her blue eyes, so like her father's, were filled with concern. Nothing, sweetie, I forced a smile. Just a work issue. Did you find your sweater? She nodded slowly, clearly not buying it. Are you sure? You look really upset. Actually, I hesitated. Why don't we grab coffee? There's something we need to discuss. 20 minutes later, we sat in our favorite corner booth at Joe's Cafe. Emma wrapped her hands around her caramel latte, waiting. The thing is, I took a deep breath. There's been an issue with your college fund. What kind of issue? Grandma Deborah. She was supposed to be managing it, investing it safely. But instead, my voice cracked. Emma's face paled. It's gone? All of it? I nodded, watching my daughter's dreams crumble before my eyes. I'm so sorry, baby. I trusted her and she... Does Dad know? Not yet, but he will. I reached across the table, taking her trembling hands in mine. Listen to me, Emma. This changes nothing. We'll figure it out. I'll take out loans, work double shifts, whatever it takes. You're going to Stanford. Emma pulled her hands away. I can't believe Grandma would do this. She always said... Her voice trailed off as tears welled up in her eyes. I know, honey. I know. My phone buzzed again. A text from Deborah. Don't make this into a bigger deal than it needs to be. Family should forgive family. I stared at the message, my jaw clenched. Forgive? The woman had stolen my daughter's future and had the audacity to demand forgiveness? Mom? Emma's voice was small. What are we going to do? I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. In that moment, I made a decision. Deborah thought she could manipulate and steal from us without consequences. She thought wrong. We're going to fight back, I said quietly, and we're going to win. Emma's eyes widened. What do you mean? It means, I said, pulling out my phone to call my sister Lacey, that your grandmother is about to learn a very important lesson about family and trust. As I dialed, my hands stopped shaking. Calm settled over me like a shield. Deborah had no idea what she'd started, but she was about to find out exactly what happened when you crossed the wrong mother. Lacey, I said when my sister picked up, I need your help. It's time we had a proper family reunion. Look at this, Lacey said, spreading bank statements across my dining room table. Every month, like clockwork, $5,000 transferred to an account in Atlantic City. I leaned over her shoulder, scanning the documents. And Emma's college fund? Drained gradually over 2 years. Lacey tapped her laptop screen. Deborah covered her tracks well, but she got sloppy near the end, probably desperate. My sister had always been the detail-oriented one. While I built my business, she became a forensic accountant. Now her skills were proving invaluable. There's more, she continued. Remember Cousin Peter's inheritance from Aunt Marie? The one he supposedly lost in the stock market crash? Lacey's eyes narrowed. Deborah was his financial advisor, too. The pieces were falling into place. I grabbed my phone, scrolling through recent texts. Marcel called yesterday, said Deborah's been acting strange, taking mysterious trips. To casinos, no doubt. Lacey closed her laptop. Anna, this isn't just about Emma's college fund anymore. Deborah's been stealing from the entire family. A knock at the door interrupted us. Emma burst in, followed by her friends from the volleyball team. Mom, is it okay if we have pizza here? Practice ran late and... She stopped short, taking in the papers scattered everywhere. Of course, honey. I started gathering the documents. Hi, girls, the menu drawer is in the kitchen. Thanks, Anna. They rushed past, giggling. Emma lingered, her eyes fixed on the bank statements. More bad news? Just doing some research, I said carefully. Go be with your friends. She hesitated. Mom, I know you're planning something. I'm not stupid. Emma, just don't do anything crazy, okay? She turned and followed her friends. Lacey waited until the kitchen door swung shut. She's worried about you. She should be worried about her grandmother, I muttered, pulling out my phone to show her Deborah's latest text. Looking forward to Emma's birthday dinner tomorrow? I have a special surprise planned. The nerve of that woman. Lacey shook her head. Are you still going through with it? Of course. Can't let her suspect anything's wrong. I forced a smile. Besides, the whole family will be there. Perfect opportunity to observe. The next evening, my catering company's finest setup graced Deborah's sprawling Victorian home. Emma's 18th birthday dinner was in full swing, with family members scattered throughout the house. Anna, darling, Deborah air-kissed my cheek. The food is divine, as always, though perhaps a bit simple for such a special occasion. I maintained my smile. Emma requested her favorites. Yes, well... Deborah adjusted her pearl necklace, probably bought with stolen money. Speaking of Emma's preferences, I've been thinking about her college choices. Stanford is so far away. The local university has an excellent program. Mom, Raymond, my ex-husband, called from across the room. Have you seen my wallet? Check your coat pocket, dear, Deborah called back, but I caught the flash of panic in her eyes. I excused myself and found Lacey by the dessert table. Notice anything? Besides Raymond missing his wallet? She smirked. Marcel's been watching Deborah like a hawk all evening. Think he suspects? Maybe. Did you see how she reacted when Emma opened the envelope from Stanford? Like she'd swallowed a lemon. Lacey paused. Speaking of envelopes, I got an interesting call today. Remember that tip you received? Before she could continue, a commotion erupted from the study. Raymond's voice boomed through the house. Mom, what the hell is this? We rushed to find Raymond waving a stack of papers, his face red. Deborah stood frozen by the desk. Raymond, dear, those are private... Private! These are withdrawal slips from my investment account. He turned to Marcel. Dad, did you know about this? Marcel's face went ashen. What? The room fell silent as Emma appeared in the doorway. What's going on? Nothing, sweetheart, Deborah said quickly. Just a little family discussion about finances. I watched my daughter's expression harden. She wasn't buying it anymore. Anna, Reuben, my business partner, touched my arm. Maybe we should serve the cake now? I nodded, but my mind was racing. This was just the beginning. Raymond's discovery would plant seeds of doubt, but I needed more. The family reunion next month would be my real opportunity. As we gathered around the dining table to sing Happy Birthday, I studied Deborah's face in the candlelight. Her perfect mask was cracking, Soon it would shatter completely. Emma caught my eye across the cake, her expression worried. I gave her a reassuring smile, but inside, my resolve hardened. Deborah had built her house of lies on the backs of her own family. Now it was time to watch it burn. "Make a wish, sweetheart," Deborah called out as Emma prepared to blow out her candles. I already had my wish, justice, and I was going to make it come true. "A family reunion?" Marcel's voice crackled through my phone speaker. "Now?" "It's been 5 years since the whole family got together," I said, keeping my tone light. "After everything that happened at Emma's birthday party, I think we need this." "I suppose you're right," he sighed. "We can host it here. The garden's lovely in June." Perfect. Marcel and Deborah's house was exactly where I needed this to happen. "That's so generous. I'll handle all the arrangements." "Anna." Marcel hesitated. "Have you noticed anything unusual about Deborah lately?" "Like what?" "She's been receiving strange calls, disappearing for hours, and after what Raymond found. Maybe we can talk about it at the reunion," I suggested carefully. "In person." After hanging up, I opened my laptop to check the guest list. Each invitation had been strategically planned. Cousin Peter, still bitter about his lost inheritance. Aunt Marie, who never believed his stock market story. Raymond, now questioning everything. The pieces were falling into place. My office door creaked open. Emma stood there, arms crossed. "A family reunion? Seriously?" "I thought it would be nice." "Stop." She stepped inside, closing the door. "You've been whispering with Aunt Lacey for weeks, making secret phone calls. Now this? What are you planning?" "Emma, no more lies, Mom. I deserve to know." I studied my daughter's face, so young, yet so perceptive. "Sit down." She perched on the edge of my desk, waiting. "Your grandmother didn't just take your college fund," I began. "She's been stealing from everyone. Cousin Peter, your dad, even Marcel. And the reunion is what? Your chance for revenge?" "Justice," I corrected. "She needs to face what she's done." Emma's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then held it up. "Grandma just texted me. Says she's worried about you, that you're acting erratic since the investment mishap." My blood boiled. "Investment mishap?" "Mom." Emma's voice softened. "I'm mad too. But this plotting, these secrets, it's changing you." Before I could respond, my own phone chimed. An anonymous email. "Regarding Deborah, there's more. Meet at Joe's Cafe, 3 p.m. tomorrow." "What is it?" Emma asked. I locked my screen. "Work stuff." She stood up, hurt flickering across her face. "Right, more secrets." "Emma, wait." But she was already gone, the door clicking shut behind her. The next day, I arrived at Joe's Cafe early, scanning the crowd. A man in a dark suit caught my eye and nodded toward a corner booth. "Mrs. Anna?" He extended his hand. "I'm David. I work for the State Gaming Commission." My heart raced. "Gaming Commission?" "We've been monitoring your mother-in-law's activities at several casinos. The patterns suggest a serious gambling addiction, but that's not why I'm here." He slid a folder across the table. "We've uncovered evidence of money laundering." My hands shook as I opened the folder. Bank statements, casino receipts, photographs of Deborah with known criminals. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because she's not just hurting your family anymore. We're building a case, but we need witnesses willing to testify." I closed the folder. "I need time to think." "Of course." He placed his card on the table. "But don't wait too long." That evening, I found Emma in her room, studying. "Can we talk?" She didn't look up from her textbook. "Are you finally going to tell me the truth?" I sat on her bed. "I'm trying to protect you." "By becoming just like her?" Emma slammed her book shut. "Grandma lies. She manipulates. And now you're doing the same thing." Her words hit like a slap. "This is different." "Is it?" She finally met my eyes. "Because from where I'm sitting, you're both just hurting the family in different ways." My phone buzzed. Another text from Deborah. "Looking forward to the reunion, darling. though I do hope you're not working too hard on the arrangements. You seem stressed lately. Emma read the message over my shoulder. She's playing you, Mom, and you're letting her. I'm trying to make things right. No, Emma stood up. You're trying to make her pay. There's a difference. She walked out, leaving me alone with my thoughts and David's business card burning a hole in my pocket. The reunion was 2 weeks away. I had set everything in motion, pulled all the strings. But as I listened to Emma's door close down the hall, I wondered if the price of revenge might be higher than I'd calculated. The question was, could I stop now, even if I wanted to? My phone buzzed again. Lacey, you need to see this. Another victim just came forward. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and made my choice. There was no turning back now. The reunion buzzed with forced cheerfulness as family members filled Marcel and Deborah's backyard. I watched from the catering table as Deborah worked the crowd, her laugh just a touch too bright, her gestures slightly too animated. Everything's ready, Reuben murmured, appearing at my side, though I still think you should let me handle the service staff. No, I said firmly. I need to oversee this personally. He touched my arm. Anna, I've known you for 10 years. This isn't you. You don't know what she's done. Actually, I do. He nodded toward Emma, who was helping younger cousins fill their plates. And so does she. Maybe it's time to... Anna, Deborah's voice cut through our conversation. Darling, the appetizers are divine, though perhaps a bit heavy on the garlic? I plastered on a smile. Just following the recipe you gave me, Deborah. Family secret, remember? Her eyes narrowed slightly. Before she could respond, Cousin Peter approached. Deborah, he said coldly, we need to talk about Aunt Marie's inheritance. Peter, dear, this isn't the time. When is the time? His voice rose. When you've gambled away someone else's future? Heads turned. Deborah's smile faltered. Peter, Marcel stepped in. Perhaps we should... No, Dad. Raymond appeared, drink in hand. Let's hear what Peter has to say. In fact, I have some questions too. I moved among the guests, topping off wine glasses, catching snippets of conversation, Aunt Marie cornering Deborah about bank statements, Marcel questioning missing jewelry. The whispers grew louder, the accusations harder to deflect. Emma caught my eye from across the yard. She shook her head slightly before turning away. Dinner is served, I announced, directing everyone to the elegant tables set up on the lawn. As family members took their seats, I noticed Deborah's hands shaking as she reached for her water glass. Raymond sat as far from her as possible, while Marcel looked lost, caught between loyalty and suspicion. Before we eat, Deborah stood, raising her glass. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. Family is everything to me. Is it? Peter interrupted. Is that why you told me the stock market crashed when you actually... That's enough, Deborah snapped, her composure cracking. I will not be accused. Mom. Raymond's voice was quiet but firm. What did you do with my investment account? The garden fell silent. Even the children stopped chattering. There were complications? Deborah's voice wavered. Complications. Aunt Marie stood up. Like when you complicated away my sister's inheritance? You don't understand, Deborah pleaded. I had a system. I was going to win it all back. The words hung in the air. Marcel's fork clattered to his plate. Win it back? He whispered. Deborah, what have you done? She turned to him, desperate. Marcel, I can explain. Explain what? Raymond demanded. How you stole from your own family. How you gambled away Emma's future. I did not steal. Deborah's voice rose hysterically. I borrowed. I was protecting our family's assets. By betting them away at casinos? I couldn't help myself. Is that what you call protection? You. Deborah's eyes locked onto mine. You orchestrated this, didn't you? Turned my family against me? You did that yourself, I said quietly. Every time you lied. Every time you stole. Mom? Emma's voice cut through the tension. She stood, tears in her eyes. Is it true? Did you really gamble away everything? Deborah's face crumpled. Emma, sweetheart, I never meant... Save it. Emma pushed back her chair. I don't want to hear any more lies. She walked away, disappearing into the house. I moved to follow, but Reuben caught my arm. "Let her go," he murmured. "She needs space." The evening dissolved into chaos after that. Marcel retreated to his study. Raymond stormed out. Aunt Marie demanded financial records. Through it all, Deborah sat silent, her perfect mask finally shattered. As guests began leaving, I overheard a conversation that made my blood run cold. "Did you hear?" one cousin whispered to another. "Someone called the gaming commission. They're investigating her." I froze. I hadn't made that call yet. Which meant... My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Deborah's house of cards is falling. Tomorrow's papers will be interesting. You're not the only one she betrayed." I looked up to see Deborah staring at her own phone, her face ash-white. Whatever was coming, it was bigger than I'd planned. Later, as I packed up the catering supplies, Emma appeared beside me. "Happy now?" she asked quietly. "You got what you wanted." I watched Deborah through the window, sitting alone in her once perfect garden. "Did I?" "Mom," Emma's voice cracked. "What happens next?" I wished I knew. The revenge I'd planned was spinning beyond my control, and somewhere in the chaos I'd lost sight of what really mattered. "I don't know, honey," I admitted. "I really don't know." The morning headlines hit like a tsunami. Local socialite under investigation for gambling fraud. Deborah's photograph splashed across the front page, emerging from a casino with a man I didn't recognize. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Lacey sent a string of messages. "Turn on the news. Channel 7. Now." I flipped on the TV just as Emma came downstairs. The reporter's voice filled our kitchen. "Allegations of extensive gambling debts and financial fraud spanning multiple states. Sources say Deborah allegedly used her position as a family financial advisor to—" "Mom," Emma's voice was hollow. "Everyone at school will see this." Before I could respond, our doorbell rang. Raymond stood there, looking haggard. "Did you do this?" he demanded, waving a newspaper. "Call the authorities?" "No," I said truthfully, "but I was going to." He pushed past me into the house. "Do you have any idea what you've started? The police are at my parents' house right now." "Dad?" Emma appeared in the hallway. "What's happening?" Raymond's anger deflated at the sight of his daughter. "Hey, kiddo, it's complicated." "Everything's complicated lately," she muttered, grabbing her backpack. "I'm going to be late for school." "Emma, wait," I called, but the front door slammed behind her. My phone rang. "Marcel." "Anna?" His voice trembled. "They're taking her away. The police, they say there's evidence. Gambling debts to dangerous people." "I'm coming over," I said, already grabbing my keys. The scene at Marcel and Deborah's house was surreal. Police cars lined the driveway. Neighbors peered from behind curtains as officers led Deborah out in handcuffs. "This is all a misunderstanding," she kept saying, her designer outfit wrinkled, her makeup smeared. Then she saw me. You did this to me." "Mrs. Williams," a detective stepped between us. "Please keep moving." "She orchestrated this whole thing," Deborah shouted. "She turned my family against me. I trusted you," I shouted back, emotions finally boiling over. "We all trusted you. Emma's college fund, Raymond's investments, Peter's inheritance. Was any of it ever safe with you?" "You don't understand," Deborah's voice cracked. "I had debts. They were threatening me." The detective's head snapped up. "Who was threatening you?" Deborah's face went white. She pressed her lips together, suddenly silent. Marcel emerged from the house, looking decades older. "They found evidence, Anna. So much evidence. Bank statements, IOUs, letters from loan sharks." "Marcel," Deborah pleaded as they led her toward the police car. "Tell them I was protecting our family. Tell them—" "Protecting us?" Marcel's voice rose. "By stealing from our granddaughter? By gambling away our retirement? By getting involved with criminals?" "I can explain everything. Then explain this." He held up a stack of papers. "Explain why I found transfer records to offshore accounts. Explain the threatening letters from casino owners. Explain why our house is mortgaged to people I've never heard of." Deborah's carefully constructed world crumbled visibly. I was going to fix everything. One more bet, one more game. How much? I asked quietly. How much did you lose in total? She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. 3 million, maybe more. The number hung in the air like a death sentence. And Emma's college fund? Raymond demanded. Was that part of your gambling spree, too? I needed it for collateral, Deborah burst out. These people, they were going to hurt us if I didn't pay. I thought I could win it back before anyone noticed. I just needed more time. A black SUV pulled up. 2 men in suits emerged, flashing FBI badges. Mrs. Williams, one said, we need to ask you some questions about your connections to organized crime. Deborah sagged in the officer's grip. Marcel, please, don't let them take me. But Marcel turned away, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. I watched as they drove Deborah away, sirens silent but lights flashing. The woman who'd stolen my daughter's future, who'd manipulated our entire family, reduced to a headline in tomorrow's paper. Anna, Raymond touched my arm. Did you know about the criminal connections? No, I whispered. I just wanted her to admit what she'd done. I never thought... My phone buzzed. Emma. Just saw the news. Coming home. We need to talk. Looking at Marcel's broken expression, at Raymond's devastated face, at the neighbors recording everything on their phones, I realized Emma had been right. In my quest for justice, I'd helped destroy our family in a different way. The FBI agents approached us. We'll need statements from everyone. This investigation goes deeper than just gambling debts. As I nodded numbly, another text came through from an unknown number. Deborah's not the only one who'll pay for her sins. The house of cards is still falling. I looked up at the beautiful home where we'd celebrated so many family gatherings, where Emma had grown up visiting her grandparents, where everything had seemed perfect on the surface. Now I wondered what other secrets those walls held, and who else would be destroyed before this was over. The FBI wants to interview me? Emma's voice shook as she paced our living room. About Grandma? Only if you're comfortable, I assured her. They just want to understand when she started managing the college fund. This is insane. She collapsed onto the couch. My friends keep sending me links to news articles. Someone at school made a meme about it. The doorbell rang. Reuben stood there, holding a paper bag. I brought dinner. Figured you both could use it. Thanks. I managed a weak smile. Come in. He started unpacking containers of comfort food onto our kitchen counter when my phone rang. Marcel. Anna? His voice was rough. They're seizing the house. Something about evidence and liens. I don't understand any of it. Where will you go? Raymond's letting me stay with him. But Anna, there's something else. The FBI found documents about Raymond's trust fund from my father. My heart sank. What about it? It's gone too, all of it. And the signatures. They're forged. Mine and Raymond's both. Emma appeared in the doorway, her face pale. Mom? I have to go, Marcel. I hung up, turning to my daughter. Honey. Stop. She held up her hand. I heard. More bad news, right? More proof that Grandma ruined everything? Reuben stepped forward. Emma, sometimes people we love... Don't. She whirled on him. Don't try to make this okay. None of this is okay. She turned to me. And you just had to push, didn't you? Couldn't let it go? Emma, no. You planned that reunion to humiliate her, to expose her. Well, congratulations, Mom. You won. Grandma's in jail, the family's destroyed, and I can't even go on social media without seeing our name dragged through the mud. I was trying to get justice for you. I never asked for this kind of justice. Tears streamed down her face. I just wanted my mom back, the one who taught me that kindness matters more than revenge, the one who always said we rise above hate. Her words hit like physical blows. Reuben touched my shoulder, but I pulled away. Everything I did was to protect you, I whispered. No. Emma wiped her eyes. Everything you did was to hurt her. There's a difference. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Raymond, looking exhausted. The FBI's questioning Dad now, he said, without preamble. They think Mom might have... God, I can't even say it. They think she might have been laundering money for some very dangerous people. Emma made a small, choked sound and ran upstairs. Her door slammed seconds later. "She's right, you know," Raymond said quietly, "about what this is doing to the family." "Oh, now you care about family?" I snapped. "Where were you when your mother was stealing your daughter's future?" "I should have seen it," he shouted. "I'm her son. I should have noticed something was wrong, but I was too busy with my new life, my new family, to see what was happening to my old one." Reuben stepped between us. "This isn't helping anyone. We need to focus on what comes next." My phone buzzed with another anonymous text. "Deborah's associates are asking questions. Watch your back." Raymond read it over my shoulder. "What associates? Anna, what haven't you told me?" Before I could answer, Emma's scream pierced the air. We rushed upstairs to find her staring at her laptop. "Someone posted Grandma's entire criminal record online," she choked out. "With pictures, security footage from casinos, bank records, everything." I looked at the screen. The post was everywhere, spreading like wildfire across social media. Comments ranged from mockery to threats. "I can't stay here," Emma grabbed her bag. "I'm going to Aunt Lacey's. Emma, please." "Don't follow me," she pushed past us. "I need space from all of this, from you." The front door slammed for the second time that day. Raymond ran his hands through his hair. "I'll make sure she gets there safely," he said, heading after her. Left alone with Reuben, I finally let my walls crumble. "What have I done?" I whispered. "You exposed the truth," he said gently. "But maybe Emma's right. Maybe the cost was too high." My phone buzzed again. This time it was Marcel. "The FBI found something else, something worse. They're bringing in Deborah for more questioning. Anna, I think we're all in danger." I showed Reuben the message, my hands shaking. "Whatever's coming," he said, taking my hand. "You don't have to face it alone." But looking at Emma's empty room, at the chaos I'd helped unleash, I wondered if being alone might be exactly what I deserved. The revenge I'd planned had turned into something darker, more dangerous than I'd ever imagined. And now my daughter, the person I'd done all this for, couldn't even look at me. The courthouse buzzed with tension as we gathered for Deborah's bail hearing. Emma sat between Raymond and me, her first time speaking to me in 3 days. "All rise." Deborah entered in handcuffs, her designer clothes replaced by a prison jumpsuit. She looked smaller somehow, older. Her eyes scanned the gallery until they found Emma. The mask cracked completely. "Wait," she called out suddenly. "I need to confess something." The judge leaned forward. "Mrs. Williams?" "It wasn't just gambling." Deborah's voice trembled. "I was helping them move money, clean it. They said they'd hurt my family if I didn't." The courtroom erupted. Emma grabbed my hand, squeezing tight. "Order!" The judge banged his gavel. "Who threatened you, Mrs. Williams?" Before Deborah could answer, the courthouse doors burst open. 2 men in expensive suits strode in, followed by their lawyers. "Anthony." Marcel's face went white. "And Victor." I recognized them from photos in the FBI file. Casino owners with suspected mob connections. The same men from the anonymous tips. "Deborah, darling," Anthony's voice oozed fake concern. "Are you unwell? Saying such strange things?" "Don't," Deborah shrank back. "Please." "Mrs. Williams," Victor spoke smoothly. "Perhaps you're confused. Stress can do that." "She's not confused." Marcel stood up. "I found the letters, the threats, the photos of our family being watched." "Dad, sit down," Raymond hissed, but Marcel continued. "You used my wife's gambling addiction to force her into laundering money, then blackmailed her with threats against our grandchildren." Emma's grip on my hand tightened. I looked at her face. She was terrified, but her jaw was set in a familiar, determined way. "Grandma," she called out clearly, "tell the truth, all of it." Deborah turned, tears streaming down her face. "I was weak. The gambling. It started small, but then I lost more than I could repay. They offered to clear my debts if I helped them, said they'd hurt Emma if I refused." "Your Honor," Anthony's lawyer stepped forward. "These are baseless accusations. I have proof." Deborah's voice strengthened. Account numbers, recordings, everything. Victor's pleasant mask slipped. "You recorded—" "Order!" the judge commanded. "Bailiff, secure those men. Mrs. Williams, are you prepared to make a full statement? Yes. Deborah straightened her shoulders. I've destroyed enough lives trying to protect myself. It's time to make it right. The next hour was a blur of revelations. Deborah detailed years of money laundering, naming names, providing evidence. The FBI agents scribbled notes furiously. Anthony and Victor were led away in handcuffs, their threats echoing through the courthouse. You're dead, Deborah. Your whole family's dead. Emma trembled beside me. I wrapped my arm around her, and for the first time in days, she didn't pull away. I'm so sorry, Deborah sobbed, looking at us. The college fund. I didn't gamble it away. They took it, said it was insurance. Insurance? Raymond demanded. To keep me cooperative. They knew hurting Emma's future would destroy me more than any physical threat. I felt sick. All this time, I'd blamed Deborah completely, never considering she might have been a victim too. Your Honor, the FBI agent stood. Given Mrs. Williams' cooperation and the clear evidence of coercion, we recommend protective custody and a reduced sentence. The judge nodded. Agreed. Mrs. Williams, you'll be moved to a secure facility. Your family will receive protection until these men stand trial. As they led Deborah away, she stopped before us. Anna, you were right to expose everything. I was too scared to do it myself. Grandma, Emma stepped forward. Why didn't you tell us? We could have helped. Pride, shame, fear. Deborah's smile was bitter. Take your pick, but watching you all fight for justice, it gave me courage, even if it came too late. Marcel approached his wife. It's not too late to do the right thing. The right thing, she whispered. I forgot what that meant so long ago. The bailiff led her away. We stood in the emptying courthouse, the weight of everything pressing down. What happens now? Emma asked quietly. Now, Raymond said, we stick together, as a family. Protection details outside, the FBI agent approached. You'll all need to be careful until the trial. I looked at my daughter, remembering how this started, with my desire for revenge against a woman I thought I understood. Mom? Emma's voice was soft. I get it now. Why you pushed so hard. You knew something was wrong. I knew the money was gone, I admitted. But I never imagined... None of us did, Marcel said. We all failed to see what was happening. Failed to help her when she needed us most. My phone buzzed one last time. Unknown number. Anthony and Victor won't go quietly. Watch your backs. I showed the message to the FBI agent, who nodded grimly. We'll increase security. This isn't over yet. Looking at my family, Emma, Raymond, Marcel, all of us shaken but standing together, I realized he was right. This wasn't over. But at least now we were facing it together, with the truth finally in the open. The morning sun streamed through Stanford's admissions office as Emma signed the final paperwork. After everything, she was actually here. That's the last form, the advisor smiled. Welcome to Stanford. I blinked back tears as Emma hugged me. We did it, Mom. You did it, I corrected. The scholarship committee saw your strength, not just your grades. The essay about family redemption probably helped, she grinned. Who knew Grandma's story would get me into college after all? My phone buzzed, a message from Marcel. Deborah's testimony finished. Anthony and Victor going away for 20 years minimum. She gets 5, with possibility of early release. Good news? Emma asked, seeing my expression. The best kind. I showed her the message. Justice finally, the real kind. We walked across campus, enjoying the California sunshine. My catering business had expanded to the West Coast, thanks to Ruben's management skills. He'd insisted on handling the expansion himself, letting me focus on family healing. Dad's plane lands in an hour, Emma said. He's bringing Grandpa to help move me in. Raymond and Marcel had grown closer through all this, father and son finding common ground in protecting what mattered most. Have you read Grandma's latest letter? I shook my head. The weekly letters from prison had become Emma's private connection with Deborah, a chance for both to rebuild what was lost. She's teaching financial literacy classes to other inmates, Emma said softly. Says it helps her feel useful again. We reached Emma's dorm building just as Raymond's taxi pulled up. Marcel emerged first, looking younger than he had in months. "There's my college girl." He hugged Emma tight. "Ready to make this place yours?" Raymond grabbed boxes from the trunk. "Where's your roommate from again?" "Portland," Emma said. "She's arriving this afternoon." As we carried boxes upstairs, I noticed Emma had packed the family photo from last Christmas, all of us together at the prison visiting room, even Deborah in her gray uniform, smiling genuinely for the first time in years. "Mom?" Emma touched my arm. "You're thinking too hard again." Just remembering where we started, how angry I was. "We all were." She set down a box. "But anger didn't fix anything. Understanding did." Raymond appeared with the last load. "Speaking of understanding, Deborah's lawyer called. The restitution payments are starting next month." "I don't want her money," I said firmly. "She insists." Marcel joined us. "Says it's part of making amends. Not just the college fund, everything she took from everyone. Besides," Emma added, "she's writing a book about gambling addiction and financial fraud. The advance is already in escrow." A commotion outside drew us to the window. A family was arguing about dorm arrangements, their voices rising. "Reminds me of us," Emma said quietly, "before everything changed." "We're still changing," I replied. "That's not a bad thing." My phone buzzed again. Ruben sending a photo of our new San Francisco location. The caption read, "Ready whenever you are, boss." "You should go," Emma said, reading over my shoulder. "The business needs you too." "You need me more." "Mom," she took my hands. "I'm okay. We're all okay. Better than okay, actually. We're honest now. Real." Raymond cleared his throat. "Speaking of honest, I have something to say." We turned to him. "I was wrong to stay away all those years. Wrong to let Mom handle everything without questioning it. Wrong to not be there for Emma more." "Dad." "Let me finish." He straightened. "I'm moving to San Francisco, taking a job here to be closer, if that's okay with everyone." Emma hugged him fiercely. Marcel wiped his eyes. "Family stays together," he said gruffly. "However we can." A knock at the door revealed Emma's roommate and her parents. Normal people with normal problems, starting a normal college journey. "Hi," Emma stepped forward. "I'm Emma. Welcome to our room." As the families mingled, I watched my daughter navigate her new life with grace and wisdom beyond her years. She'd learned hard lessons about trust, forgiveness, and the complicated nature of justice. "She's going to be amazing," Raymond murmured beside me. "She already is," I replied. "We all are in our own way." My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Deborah. "Thank you, Anna, for fighting for the truth, for helping me find my courage, for letting Emma teach us all how to be better people." I showed the message to Emma, who smiled softly. "Reply back," she said. "Tell her we love her. Tell her we're healing. Tell her we're family, the real kind, not the pretend perfect kind." As I typed the response, I realized the revenge I'd sought had transformed into something far more valuable. Redemption. Not just for Deborah, but for all of us. Emma hugged me suddenly. "I love you, Mom. Thanks for never giving up." "On you? Never." "No," she whispered. "On all of us. On what family really means." Outside, the California sun painted everything in shades of possibility. We had survived the storm, emerged stronger, truer to ourselves and each other. It wasn't a perfect ending, but it was real. And real, we'd learned, was better than perfect any day.
My name is Olivia Turner. After graduating from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, I worked at an IT company in New York, but now I'm 9 months pregnant. I married my husband Michael 3 years ago, and we live in a quiet residential area of Greenwich, Connecticut. Our home is a white colonial-style 2-story house. Sitting on approximately 5,000 square feet of land, this house was chosen by Michael when we got married. The spacious garden is now in full bloom with colorful flowers this season. Thanks to regular maintenance by professional landscapers, our garden has quite a reputation in the neighborhood. We sometimes host garden parties with our neighbors on weekends. When I became pregnant, I transitioned to working from home from my New York IT company. As an online shop product manager, I work from home while preparing for the baby's arrival. My daily routine includes organizing groceries delivered by Amazon Fresh in the baby's room furnished with restoration hardware baby pieces, wearing maternity dresses from Gap and Target. I had been posting on social media every time baby items arrived. My husband Michael, after graduating from Princeton University, works as a vice president at a real estate development company in Manhattan. Dressed in Brooks Brothers suits, commuting 45 minutes daily on Metro-North Railroad, he's like a symbol of the American dream. Though busy with work, he's a caring husband who always spends holidays with me. My mother-in-law Eleanor is a gentle and wise woman who leads local charity activities. One of my pleasures was chatting about childbirth and childcare while enjoying her homemade apple pie in her house furnished with Pottery Barn pieces. She treats me like her own daughter, calling or messaging me 2 to 3 times a week. She's even offered to help after the baby is born. On the other hand, my mother Patricia, a housewife, constantly worries about others' opinions and interferes with my married life. She particularly seems displeased with my close relationship with Eleanor. Recently, she's started making sarcastic comments about my luxurious lifestyle every time we talk on the phone. And then there's my sister Vanessa. She runs a beauty salon, but lately business hasn't been good, and she's apparently in debt. It's obvious she's jealous of my married life, and she never sincerely congratulated me on my pregnancy. When we occasionally meet, she throws pointed remarks like, "You only think about your baby, don't you ever think about your family?" In the midst of all this, Tom, our Amazon delivery man, has become my saving grace. He's a veteran and father of 3 children. He's been handling the same delivery route for 2 years in the latest Amazon van and has been recognized as an outstanding delivery person. He's been especially considerate since learning about my pregnancy, carrying heavy packages inside the house. Appearing in his clean uniform, he's like my guardian angel. Every morning, after shopping for organic groceries at Whole Foods Market, I start work while sipping decaf coffee from Starbucks. I prepare healthy meals in the kitchen with its sub-zero refrigerator, occasionally talking to my baby. Such peaceful daily routines. Though Michael often comes home late, every time he returns, he gently places his hand on my belly and talks to the baby. My regular checkups at Greenwich Hospital have been going well, with the obstetrician praising me as an ideal expectant mother. One morning, as my body was getting heavier, I was relaxing in a windowside armchair, gazing at such peaceful scenery. I had just finished putting away organic vegetables bought first thing in the morning from Whole Foods Market and was finally taking a breather. Just after 10 a.m., the doorbell suddenly rang. Looking through the peephole, I saw my mother and Vanessa. Though hesitant, feeling guilty about ignoring their calls for several weeks, I opened the door. "We've come to help," my mother said as she and Vanessa entered the living room. Mother clutching her luxury brand bag and Vanessa with her flashy makeup. Their eyes appraisingly scanning the coffee table stacked with restoration hardware baby catalogs. I felt the atmosphere instantly grow heavy. "Oh, isn't this sofa the new one from Pottery Barn? Did Eleanor buy it for you?" Mother's sarcastic voice echoes. The expensive sofa had indeed been a baby shower gift from my mother-in-law. Before I could respond, I was suddenly struck by intense pain. As I clutched my stomach, Mother and Vanessa watched me with cold eyes. Their gaze sent a chill down my spine. Last night, Michael had said, "I have an important meeting tomorrow, so if anything happens, contact me through my secretary." But this pain isn't normal. I need to call Michael. As I reached for my smartphone, Vanessa knocked my arm away. The phone fell onto the marble side table, its screen cracking. "The baby isn't due yet, right? So you can at least make us lunch." Ignoring me as I grimaced in pain at Mother's words, Vanessa added fuel to the fire. "You're being dramatic again. We're hungry too. You're always depending on your precious mother-in-law, never thinking about your real family, are you?" The intervals between what seemed to be contractions were getting shorter and shorter. Though the Sub-Zero refrigerator was stocked with ingredients, I couldn't even stand up. Sweat broke out, and my breathing became irregular. The gentle fragrance from the newly purchased humidifier for the baby made the space feel strangely poignant. "Please, call an ambulance." To my desperate plea, Mother showed an exasperated expression. "Oh, you're feeling that bad? But an ambulance is a bit, what would the neighbors say? What would the ladies in this area think?" Mother picked up my smartphone and ignored incoming calls from Michael. The screen displayed a message saying, "In important meeting." Beside her, Vanessa started taking selfies, claiming they were for promoting her newly opened beauty salon, using my suffering as a background for her photos. I lay on the large Pottery Barn sofa in the living room. Cold sweat soaking into the expensive fabric. The contractions were getting even closer, now just minutes apart. Outside the window, I could see neighborhood ladies chatting happily. That peaceful scene was so contrasting with my current situation that tears welled up. "That's enough of your act." Suddenly, Vanessa approached and kicked my stomach. The tip of her heel caused a piercing pain. "Stop, the baby." Ignoring my screams, Vanessa's kicks continued. Mother just watched the scene with cold eyes. Our wedding photo hanging on the wall, the happy smiles with Michael and Eleanor, made my current situation feel even more painful. "It's because you always manipulate people with your acting that Vanessa gets angry. At your age, is that all you can do?" Mother's words seemed to come from far away. I was starting to lose consciousness. I could see the baby's organic cotton blanket scattered miserably on the floor. "Please, an ambulance." My pleading only provoked more violence from Vanessa. "Shut up. Think about my debts too." Another kick sent intense pain through my entire body. I could feel the baby moving desperately inside me. At that moment, the doorbell rang. The 2 p.m. regular delivery. I could hear Tom's familiar voice. As Mother and Vanessa showed panicked expressions, I felt a faint hope while losing consciousness. Noticing the unusual sounds and screams, Tom immediately assessed the situation. He called 911, requesting police and an ambulance. As I heard the Greenwich EMS sirens approaching, my consciousness was completely enveloped in darkness. The last thing I saw was Tom desperately trying to help me, and his dignified profile as he stopped Mother and Vanessa from trying to escape in panic. The irony of Mother, who had been so concerned about neighborhood gossip, now exposed to the gaze of strangers. I could see Vanessa's flashy makeup smearing with tears. When I regained consciousness, my eyes were met with the white ceiling of Greenwich Hospital's emergency center. Amidst the bright fluorescent lights, I could hear medical staff moving quickly around me. The regular beeping of the heart monitor and the dripping sound of the 4 oddly calmed my heart. "Mrs. Turner, are you conscious?" I nodded faintly to what seemed to be a veteran emergency physician's voice. Immediately, intense pain struck me. The monitor's warning sounds began. Medical staff voices flew back and forth. Beside them, Tom was explaining the situation to the EMTs. His uniform was stained with my blood. The 2 female suspects are in police custody. The victim's husband and mother-in-law have been contacted. She's 36 weeks pregnant, and I understand her progress had been normal until now. Tom's calm voice seemed to come from far away. The EMT quickly took notes on the chart. "We found her Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance card in her wallet." At the nurse's voice, administrative staff immediately began processing. The wheels of the American medical system began turning efficiently. The emergency department's automatic doors opened, and Michael rushed in, his face pale with worry. His Brooks Brothers suit was disheveled, and his usually neat hair was in disarray. He had apparently taken a taxi from the Metro-North station to the hospital. "Olivia." Michael's voice. But I had no strength to respond. Between contractions and pain, I was about to lose consciousness. The heart monitor's alarm began sounding urgently again. Then Eleanor appeared gracefully. Seeing her, who also served as a hospital trustee through her charity work, the staff's movements became even more precise. "So you're the mother of the people who hurt my precious daughter." Eleanor's dignified voice was directed at my mother, who was in police custody. Faced with Eleanor's commanding presence in her luxury brand suit, my mother, for the first time, hung her head in silence. "Mrs. Turner, we need to start surgery immediately to save the baby. There's likely placental abruption, and we don't have a moment to spare." The head of obstetrics looked me firmly in the eyes as he explained. On the way to the operating room, I gripped Michael's hand tightly. "The baby, please." The white operating room. The surgical lights were bright. Around the operating table, more than 10 staff members were already in position. I felt the anesthesiologist insert a needle into my vein. And then consciousness faded away again. Outside the operating room, Michael stood supported by Eleanor, waiting as if in prayer. In his hand was a small teddy bear he had bought just days ago. An officer dispatched from Greenwich Police Department was taking detailed statements from them. The suspects, Patricia Wilson and Vanessa Wilson, the victim's mother and sister, are already being questioned at the station. We've also secured footage from the security cameras at the scene. According to the sister's statement, financial troubles were one of the motives. She apparently had debts from her failing beauty salon business. On the waiting room TV, local breaking news was playing. Assault in Greenwich luxury residential area. Pregnant woman seriously injured. Amazon delivery driver rescues victim. Victim is real estate development company executive's wife. Below ran a caption, "Suspects are victim's biological mother and sister." Eleanor quietly said a prayer. Beside her, Tom also stared intently at the operating room door. Though his uniform was stained with blood, his dignified presence remained unchanged. He had stayed here, even changing his delivery route. My wife and child, why would her own mother and sister? Michael's voice trembled. For the first time, this usually calm man showed tears. His cell phone, which he had cancelled an important investor meeting to rush here, kept ringing. It's all right, Olivia is strong. This hospital has the best medical team. Eleanor gently embraced his shoulders. Her words slightly eased the tension in the waiting room. And after a long 3 hours, the operating room doors opened. The head of obstetrics approached, removing his surgical mask with a smile. Congratulations. It's a girl. The APGAR score is fine. The waiting room erupted in joy at the doctor's smile. When a nurse passed by pushing the newborn incubator, Michael instinctively stood up. And Mrs. Turner is stable. We've controlled the bleeding, and she'll be moved to a room soon. Your wife's strong will and early detection saved her life. As sighs of relief escaped, the police officer quietly continued his report. From the suspect's statements, we've determined this was a premeditated crime. The trigger appears to have been Vanessa Wilson's beauty salon debts. The security cameras also recorded the two discussing in their car before visiting. Michael was trembling with anger, but Eleanor quietly advised him. Right now, let's think only about Olivia and the baby. We'll leave the legal response to my lawyer friend. At that moment, Tom approached modestly. Congratulations on your child's birth. I need to get back to work, my deliveries are running late. Michael embraced his shoulder. You are our benefactor. We will never forget this debt. Your judgment saved my family's lives. A few hours later, I was holding my child in the hospital room. The warmth of this tiny life gradually healed the terror of today. The sunset gently streamed into the pure white room. Looking at Eleanor's gently smiling profile, overlapping it with my mother's image, I quietly shed tears. At the Connecticut Superior Court, the heavy wooden doors opened, and Michael, Eleanor, and I entered. On the bench sat Judge Hamilton, with 30 years of experience. He was reviewing documents with a stern expression. On the prosecution side was Sarah Johnson, a sharp prosecutor from the Greenwich District Attorney's Office. On the defense side, court-appointed attorneys represented my mother and Vanessa. All rise. The Superior Court of Connecticut, 1st District, Judge Hamilton presiding, is now in session. The clerk's voice echoed. Local media reporters packed the courtroom. This case had attracted significant attention as the pregnant woman assault case. In my arms, 2-month-old Emma softly breathed in her sleep. The prosecution may begin its opening statement. At Judge Hamilton's voice, Prosecutor Sarah stood. This case is not merely domestic violence. It was a premeditated and extremely malicious crime. The prosecutor's strong voice resonated through the courtroom. The defendants Patricia Wilson and Vanessa Wilson planned this crime in advance. Security cameras recorded them discussing in their car before arriving at the scene. As the security camera footage played on the screen, showing my mother and Vanessa talking in the car, my heart ached. Furthermore, a message was found on defendant Vanessa Wilson's phone saying, "Today we'll teach her a lesson." The recipient was her mother, the co-defendant. The prosecutor continued presenting evidence. proof of their premeditated crime became increasingly clear. And decisively, there's this footage from the Amazon delivery driver's body camera. The screen showed footage from Tom's camera. He had maintained the habit of wearing a body camera from his military days. The footage clearly showed my mother and Vanessa threatening me, and the moment they assaulted me. As the courtroom fell silent, I instinctively closed my eyes. Michael gripped my hand tightly. "We'll now move to witness testimony." Tom took the stand as the first witness, wearing a navy suit instead of his usual delivery uniform. "Please explain in detail the situation when you arrived at the scene." "Yes. When I arrived for my regular delivery time, I heard unusual noises from inside the house. And then, Mrs. Turner's screams." As Tom testified calmly, my mother and Vanessa kept their heads down. The next witness was Sandra Parker, a neighbor. "That day, I was tending to my garden. Before Mrs. Wilson and her daughter visited, I saw them arguing in their car. And when I heard screams from the house." The head of obstetrics from Greenwich Hospital also took the stand as a medical expert. "Mrs. Turner and the fetus were in an extremely dangerous condition. Without early detection, we could have faced the worst outcome." Then it was my turn. "Please approach the witness stand." Leaving the baby with Michael, I slowly approached the stand. "Please tell us about that day." Encouraged by the prosecutor's gentle voice, I began speaking. Though tears welled up at times, supported by Eleanor's encouraging gaze, I managed to complete my testimony. During the defense's cross-examination, my mother's attorney tried to emphasize economic hardship, but was blocked by the prosecutor's objection. Vanessa's attorney argued temporary emotional disturbance, but the security camera footage completely refuted that. Evidence examination and witness testimony lasted a week. In closing arguments, the prosecution sought severe sentences. The defendant's actions are unacceptable as a mother and sister. Moreover, this crime was motivated by purely selfish financial reasons. The prosecution seeks sentences of 5 years for defendant Patricia Wilson and 3 years for defendant Vanessa Wilson. Though the defense argued for leniency until the end, their claims rang hollow. On the day of sentencing, the courtroom was packed with spectators. The defendant's actions completely destroyed family bonds and cannot escape social condemnation. Judge Hamilton's voice echoed through the silent courtroom. Therefore, I sentenced defendant Patricia Wilson to 5 years imprisonment and defendant Vanessa Wilson to 3 years imprisonment. Additionally, I issue a restraining order against both defendants concerning the victim. Furthermore, I order payment of $500,000 in damages. At the moment the sentence was pronounced, neither my mother nor Vanessa showed any signs of remorse. Mother glared at me, while Vanessa wore a sneer. As we left the courtroom, Eleanor embraced me. "It's over now. Let's walk into a new life with this child." Looking at my daughter's sleeping face in Michael's arms, I made a silent vow to teach her the true warmth of family. As we descended the courthouse steps, reporters had gathered. One female reporter approached me. "How do you feel about this verdict?" "I just want to live a peaceful life with my daughter." Camera flashes lit up at my words. With Eleanor's arm around my shoulders and Michael holding our daughter, we took our first step toward a new future. At the courthouse entrance, Tom waved modestly. His presence had saved our lives that day. A year has passed. In our White House in Greenwich, spring flowers are blooming in the garden. Emma's happy playing sounds echo from the nursery furnished by Restoration Hardware Baby. Emma, it's snack time. At my call, my daughter toddles over. Her smile, like a little angel's, warms my heart. Eleanor visits 3 times a week, spending time with me and helping with childcare. Emma is very attached to her. Today too, the aroma of her homemade organic cookies wafts through the kitchen. When I see this child smile, I can forget all the painful things. I quietly nod at Eleanor's words. The memories of that day still sometimes return as nightmares. But thanks to psychological counseling and family support, I'm gradually able to look forward. Michael turned down an offer for a transfer that would have separated us, prioritizing time with his family. His gentle gesture of kissing Emma's cheek every morning before work has saved me countless times. Tom still handles our Amazon deliveries. He's become an important member of our family as an honorary grandfather. At Christmas, we visited his home as a family, letting Emma play with his 3 children. While enjoying his wife Mary's homemade turkey, Tom shyly talked about that day. The Marine Corps training really came in handy then. But I was really scared. At his honest words, Michael quietly teared up. Our neighborhood relationships have changed too. After the incident, many residents offered kind words and brought homemade meals. Especially Sandra next door visits almost weekly to check on us. Since joining her book club, I've made a circle of new friends. Meanwhile, I occasionally hear news about my mother and Vanessa in prison through reports. Mother apparently has poor relationships with other inmates and is isolated. Father filed for divorce, which I heard has been finalized. Vanessa's beauty salon went completely bankrupt, with debts apparently snowballing. Letters arrive from the 2 of them from prison, but I don't open them. Eleanor reads them instead and handles any necessary responses. Apparently, neither of them is willing to acknowledge their mistakes yet. It might take much more time before feelings of remorse take root. Eleanor's words stir complex emotions in me. But new hope has also sprouted. Just recently, I found out I'm pregnant with our 2nd child. The changes in my body I felt when Emma was 10 months old, it's going to be a boy this time. This time, we'll absolutely ensure a happy birth experience. Michael and Eleanor said in unison. At Greenwich Hospital, the same doctor from last time will be in charge again. During Emma's nap time, I quietly enter the nursery and watch my daughter's sleeping face. The Pottery Barn Kids Mobile plays gentle melodies. Hey, Emma. I gently touch my daughter's cheek. Because of you, I've become stronger. Your little brother, who's coming soon, will surely be a happy member of our family too. The spring sunlight streaming through the window gently illuminates Emma's sleeping face. In the garden, the roses Eleanor carefully tends are in full bloom. The doorbell rings, and I hear Tom's voice. Today too, he'll carry heavy packages into the house for me. I smile while placing a hand on my growing belly. There are no more dark shadows in this house. Only a new family story filled with warm light was about to begin. Will you tell Emma about your mother and sister someday? Michael asked gently the other day. Yes, someday I will. But not with hatred or anger, with forgiveness and understanding. By then, I need to be able to show these children the true meaning of family myself. Michael quietly nodded at my words. Eleanor also supports my resolution. Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is how you live afterward. Her words always resonate deeply in my heart. As evening falls, Michael returns from work. I'm home, my precious family. Every time I hear those words, I feel true happiness. Emma tries her best to tell her father about playing in the garden with Tom's children while in his arms. Eleanor helps prepare dinner while excitedly discussing plans for the new baby's room. I truly feel that these peaceful moments are real happiness. Every morning, I see the same view from my window, white houses lining the Maple Tree Avenue. Among them, Helen's garden next door is particularly beautiful. Seasonal flowers bloom continuously, and on weekends, neighbors often stop to admire it. My family moved to this quiet residential area in Greenwich, Connecticut, 8 years ago. I had just started working at an investment bank in Manhattan then, spending my days completely immersed in work. That's when I met Michael, who would change my life completely. We met at a charity event at St. Mary's Church. I was in charge of fundraising, and Michael was representing the church's young members. His serious and sincere demeanor, along with that occasionally mischievous smile, quickly captured my heart. 2 years after our marriage, our son Noah was born. The moment his tiny hand gripped my finger, I knew I would do anything for this child. Even after returning from maternity leave, Michael remained actively involved in childcare. Working for an IT company with frequent work-from-home options, he could spend time with our son even on weekdays. Our lives changed dramatically 3 years ago when Michael's mother, Martha, moved in with us. After Michael's father passed away, she said she felt uneasy living alone. As a former pediatrician, her offer to look after Noah seemed like a godsend for us working parents. On the surface, it appeared to be the perfect family arrangement. At PTA meetings, Martha was known as an exemplary grandmother. Even when my work got busy, she handled everything perfectly, from picking up Noah from school to accompanying him to his activities. But when did it start? When did our son begin to change? He started crying in the middle of the night, clinging to my arms saying he'd had scary dreams. His grades gradually declined. His teacher started reporting that he often seemed sleepy during class. Each time, I blamed myself. I thought it was because I was too caught up with work and spending less time with him. I had to go to the office more frequently for sudden meetings on weekends, reducing our family time. Michael was also busy launching a new project and couldn't spend as much time playing with our son as before. But it's okay, we have Martha, I would tell myself as I boarded the Metro North train every morning, Starbucks coffee in hand. On the Greenwich Station platform, I would chat with other commuting mothers, sometimes feeling their envious glances. "You're so lucky, Amy. A wonderful husband and such a caring mother-in-law. You don't have to struggle with daycare like we do." Whenever I heard such comments, I felt both guilty and somewhat proud. But at the same time, the anxiety lurking in the depths of my heart grew day by day. My morning routine is always the same. The alarm goes off at 6:30, I take a shower and do my makeup. By 7, I'm in the kitchen turning on the coffee maker. As the rich coffee aroma begins to fill the room, I hear Noah stirring upstairs. One morning, while making coffee by the kitchen window as usual, I noticed a figure in the neighboring garden. Helen, wearing her white gardening hat, was tending to her spring flowers. Her gardening skills are so impressive that people from the neighborhood come to photograph her garden on weekends. She sometimes teaches me tips about flower care too. That day, Helen seemed different. Her hands were unsteady as she tended to the flowers. Suddenly, she turned toward me and took out her smartphone. The lens was pointed at my house. At first, I thought she was just taking pictures of the garden. But no. She was clearly photographing my house, particularly focusing on the second-floor windows. When I waved at her, finding it suspicious, she quickly averted her gaze and disappeared into her house. The same thing happened every morning after that. Just past 7, when I was making coffee in the kitchen, Helen would invariably appear. And without fail, she would take pictures of my house. When I called out to her, she would just leave silently. My anxiety grew steadily. Why did she keep photographing my house? Why was she so fixated on the second-floor windows, especially around Noah's room? One day, I finally decided to go to the police. But they wouldn't take action, saying, unless there's concrete harm. True, Helen never left her property or showed any threatening behavior. She just took photos every morning. She's probably just getting ideas for her own garden design, the police officer said. But I didn't think so. There was something urgent, something unspoken in Helen's eyes. When I talked to Michael about it, he wasn't particularly concerned, saying, Helen's fine. She's lived in this area for over 20 years. True, Helen was active in church activities and had a good reputation. But her behavior over the past 6 months was clearly not normal. And then, that day came. Early morning, as usual. As I stood in the kitchen, Helen appeared in the garden and, unusually, walked up to our gate. She held her smartphone as always, but this time, she didn't point the lens at me. Amy. She called out to me in a trembling voice. Gone was her usual calm expression, replaced by one full of anguish. The photos, why do you keep taking them? I opened the door and walked to the gate. We faced each other on the misty sidewalk. Look, your son. She held out her smartphone. On the screen was, my son, Noah. But with an expression I didn't recognize. My blood ran cold as I stared at the screen, Helen's hands trembling as she scrolled through it. New photos appeared one after another, all showing sides of my son I had never seen. The horrifying truth unfolded before my eyes. The photos were arranged chronologically, documenting my son's gradual loss of vitality. They showed the process of his smile fading away. I've been concerned for 6 months, but I had no proof. Helen's voice seemed distant as my mind went blank. The expressions on my son's face in the photos, the bruises on his body, and, the shadow of someone next to him. The next moment, I snapped back to reality. I returned the smartphone to Helen and rushed inside. At the entrance, without even putting on shoes, I grabbed my car keys. "I'm going to the police. Will you come with me?" My voice was shaking. Helen nodded silently and got into the passenger seat. I gripped the steering wheel, trying to control my trembling body. In my mind, my son's smiling face overlapped with the dark expression from the photos. As I turned at the intersection, I looked in the rearview mirror at my house. Behind that pristine white exterior, my son was still suffering. This reality felt like it would tear my heart apart. But now, I had to get to the police as quickly as possible. Our car sped through the quiet morning streets. The maple trees passed by like shadows. Helen sat silently in the passenger seat, still clutching her smartphone that held the truth I hadn't known, her hands trembling. After arriving at the police station, my sense of time became hazy. A uniformed officer led us to a small interview room, and a detective specializing in child abuse was called. The female detective who arrived examined Helen's photographic evidence one by one with a kind yet composed demeanor. "When did you start taking these photos?" "6 months ago," Helen's voice trembled. "At first, I thought I was imagining things. But..." She took out her smartphone and opened an organized photo folder. The photos, arranged by date, documented my son's daily life that I hadn't known about. March photos. Noah standing alone in the garden, winter's chills still lingering. Before 7 in the morning, while it was still dim. He's wearing his uniform, but his back is slightly hunched. The next photo shows Martha behind him, appearing to be lecturing him. Noah's shoulders seem to be trembling slightly. By April, the changes became more pronounced. "This is when the food restrictions seemed to begin," Helen explained. The photos showed Noah sitting alone on the garden bench during lunch, holding just an apple. "You're eating too many sweets for snacks. No dinner until you finish your homework." The conversations captured by the security camera were laid out before the detective. "Your security cameras have quite good quality, Helen," the detective remarked. "My husband used to work for a security equipment company." Helen's voice trailed off. "After he passed away, the equipment remained. I never thought I'd use it like this." May. As spring weather invited children from the neighborhood to play outside, Noah was nowhere to be seen. "If you have time to play outside, you should be studying. You can play with friends after you get good grades on your tests. You're just a child who makes your mother and father sad." In the recorded conversations, Martha's voice grew increasingly cold. This audio. "I installed recording devices in addition to security cameras," Helen said apologetically. "I thought we needed definitive evidence." By June, physical changes became noticeable. He had clearly lost weight and had dark circles under his eyes. He started visiting the nurse's office more frequently during breaks, but it was always complaining of sleepiness. He was being made to study at night, Helen explained, pointing to July's records. "Until late. From my bedroom window, I could see the light in Noah's room. Always until 1 or 2 in the morning. Then August. With summer vacation, the situation rapidly deteriorated. This is. The detective drew in a sharp breath. The photos showed bruise marks on his arms. Scratch marks on his back. All in places hidden by clothing. Evidence of calculated, methodical abuse. I fell during sports day practice. I was playing rough with friends. I scratched myself. In the recorded conversations, Martha was teaching Noah excuses to make. Why didn't I notice? As my voice choked up, the interrogation room door opened. Michael burst in. Amy. I got a call from the police. His voice trailed off as he saw the photos on the screen. Why would Mother? Michael's voice shook. We didn't notice. Unforgivable. This is absolutely unforgivable. The sound of him hitting the desk echoed in the small room. The detective quietly continued recording. Photos from September showed more insidious forms of abuse. Your mother and father don't really love you. They would have been happier without you. Even if you tell someone, no one will believe you. Confinement in the closet late at night. Discipline by withholding meals. Conversations showing escalating psychological control. We need to protect Noah, the detective's voice was calm. With this much evidence, an emergency protection order will certainly be issued. And at that moment, my phone rang. It was Martha. Amy. Noah wasn't feeling well today, so I had him leave school early. Martha's voice on the phone was unchanged. Gentle and full of consideration. But now we knew the cunning that lurked beneath it. We'll head to the scene immediately, the detective stood up. Ma'am, sir, could you please wait here? But as I started to protest, the detective cut me off with a gentle but firm expression. I understand how you feel. But we must avoid any escalation. Please leave this to the professionals now. Outside the window, police sirens began to wail. Michael and I held each other's trembling hands tightly. In my heart, words of apology to our son overflowed. Why hadn't we noticed? Living together every day, how had we overlooked this? Had we failed as parents? Unanswerable questions weighed heavy in the room's air. The clock hands seemed to move abnormally slowly. A week after Martha's arrest, we left our son with my parents and had multiple meetings with specialists. In the waiting room of Greenwich General Hospital's Child Psychiatry Department. Through the window, I could see maple trees swaying. Michael's hand gripped mine tightly. I'll introduce you to a trauma care specialist. Dr. Sonia Watson, a middle-aged female doctor in a white coat, smiled kindly. Children's drawings decorated the walls, and soft carpet covered the floor. In this room, our long journey to recovery would begin. First, let's talk about your feelings of guilt. Dr. Watson's voice was gentle. There are no perfect parents. Especially in modern society with dual-income households. What's important is how you act when you notice something. You both took appropriate action immediately. I shook my head while wiping away tears. But we should have noticed sooner. Living together every day. Amy, Michael embraced my shoulders. I feel the same way. And to think it was my own mother. His voice choked up. When the abuser is someone very close, detection becomes particularly difficult, Dr. Watson continued. Especially in cases like Martha, who was intelligent and highly respected socially. Even many professionals would have had difficulty detecting it. Therapy would be for the whole family. Individual counseling plus weekly family therapy. And most importantly, preparation for reuniting with our son. Reunion with Noah needs to be approached carefully. Jennifer Morris, the child psychology counselor, explained the reunion program. A child's heart is more delicate than adults imagine. Especially betrayal by family members who should be most trusted creates deep emotional wounds. The day of reunion. We waited for our son in the hospital's special room. The walls had bright wallpaper, and toys were placed around. My heart was racing. The door opened, and Noah entered. His thin body, his downcast expression. But when he saw us, his eyes lit up slightly. Mom. Dad. His voice trembled. We desperately suppressed the urge to rush over and embrace him. Following Ms. Morris's guidance, we approached slowly. Noah, we missed you. Michael's voice shook. Was I a bad child? Noah asked in a small voice. No, I answered immediately. You did nothing wrong. It was all Mom and Dad's fault. We embraced him. His warm, small body. I could tell he was thin. But I could feel his steady heartbeat. Will Grandma not come anymore? No, she won't, Michael answered. We'll never let anyone hurt Noah again. From that day, a new life began. Michael increased his work-from-home days, and I adjusted my working hours. The St. Mary's Church community also warmly supported us. Raising children isn't meant to be done alone. After Sunday service, Reverend Margaret spoke to us. In the church support group, we met families with similar experiences. Their words resonated deeply. There's no such thing as a perfect family. What's important is the willingness to understand each other. Take it one step at a time. Light will surely come. Greenwich Academy also fully cooperated. Regular meetings with the school counselor. Careful observation by his homeroom teacher. Gradually, changes began to appear in Noah's school life. Teacher, I solved the math problem. A proud voice we hadn't heard in a long time. When I picked up Noah after school, I started seeing him playing with friends. The hesitant smile from before was gradually returning. On weekends, we treasured family time. Picnics in the park. Watching movies. Sometimes just relaxing together on the sofa. Hey, Mom. One day, Noah asked me. What is it? I want to become a doctor when I grow up. Surprised by these unexpected words, I caught my breath. But not like Grandma. I want to be a doctor who really helps people in trouble. Fighting back tears, I nodded. You can do it. Mom and Dad will always support you. Michael also changed gradually. While his anger and disappointment towards his mother haven't disappeared, he's learned to channel them constructively. He began participating in child abuse prevention activities and sharing his experience. If our failure to notice can help someone else. My husband's face showed more strength than before when he spoke these words. Our relationship with Helen also deepened. Her courageous action had saved our family. If I had children, I'm sure I would have been just as desperate as you were. One day, while doing garden work, Helen said softly, "But you did more for him than his real grandmother ever did." I responded with heartfelt gratitude. The road to recovery has only just begun. Sometimes, Noah still wakes up from nightmares in the middle of the night. Michael and I still struggle with feelings of guilt. But we're definitely moving forward. Our family bonds, though wounded, have grown stronger. A year has passed since then. At the Connecticut Supreme Court. In the solemn courtroom, Martha's sentence was pronounced. 7 years in prison. No chance of parole. Martha showed no signs of remorse until the end. I was doing the right thing. I was just trying to raise a perfect grandson. As I listened to those words, I stared into her eyes. There was something like conviction rather than madness in her eyes. The psychiatric evaluation revealed severe obsessive-compulsive personality disorder and an abnormal expansion of her desire for control. As we left the courthouse, Michael squeezed my hand tightly. "It's over now." Yes, finally. But the real ending is still far ahead. Rather, this was a new beginning. On Greenwich Academy's playground. Noah plays with his friends as cherry blossoms flutter in the air. He no longer shows that timid behavior from before. His occasional laughter carries on the spring breeze. "Amy, look at this." Mr. Jones, his homeroom teacher, showed me Noah's latest test. Perfect score in math. Moreover, all the calculation steps were properly written out. What's most wonderful is his attitude toward helping friends. When he sees someone struggling, he reaches out on his own. Weekend at St. Mary's Church. Today is a special day. A lecture on child abuse prevention. Michael stands at the podium. Abuse doesn't always appear in obvious forms. Especially when the perpetrator is someone who should be most trusted. The audience includes people with various expressions. Young couples raising children. Educators. And newly assigned child welfare staff. After the lecture, a woman approached us. I had a similar experience. A trembling voice. But with strong eyes. Hearing today's talk gave me courage. From that day on, the circle of support grew even wider. Monthly self-help group meetings. Online counseling. And a community-wide watchdog network. Helen's garden remains beautiful as ever. But now, there's a new flower added. Noah chose it, she told me happily. White lilies, called the flowers of hope. The pure white petals shine in the morning sun. The inside of our house has also changed gradually. New posters hang in Noah's room. A drawing of his future dream. He wants to become a doctor and help people in need. Next to it, a family photo. This time, taken with genuine smiles. Thursday nights. Family counseling time. Dr. Watson warmly watches over our changes. Recovery from trauma is never a straight line. The doctor's words sink deep into our hearts. But your family has the power to understand and support each other. Noah's essay was posted on the school bulletin board. My dream. I want to become a doctor and help people in trouble. Especially, I want to hear the voices of those who can't speak up. Because I couldn't speak up either. But now it's different. Dad and Mom, and many others, heard my voice. So I want to become someone who can hear others' voices too. When we read that essay, Michael and I hugged each other silently. The tears were no longer for sadness. A new morning. Making coffee in the kitchen as usual. Outside the window, maple buds sway in the wind. From upstairs, I hear Noah getting ready. Mom, can we stop by the park today too? Of course. My son's voice shows no hesitation. No fear or trembling like before. Michael comes down the stairs. He's up earlier than usual. Today, he has a lecture at the Child Abuse Prevention Center. I'm heading out. Take care. Before leaving the entrance, we look at each other. There's an unspoken understanding between us. Next door, Helen begins tending her garden. Today too, her camera captures the garden flowers. No anxious shadows appear in them anymore. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Helen. The morning sun illuminates the quiet residential street. Everything up until yesterday certainly exists within us. But now it has transformed into strength. That we can stand up even when wounded. That we can speak up. And above all, that we can love each other. These lessons came from our neighbor's small but certain courage, who kept taking pictures of my house every morning. The morning sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, its orange glow gently illuminating Michael's photographs on the wall. As I prepared breakfast, my eyes drifted to those pictures. His beaming smile at our wedding, his face filled with emotion when Nathan was born, and our family photo from our last vacation together. Each image captured Michael's bright and genuine personality. It's been 3 years now. I whispered to myself as I started making Nathan's special pancakes. Every morning, I carefully prepared breakfast for my son who has a peanut allergy, meticulously checking each ingredient as the warm, inviting aroma filled the kitchen. Mom, it smells wonderful. 8-year-old Nathan came bounding down the stairs. With his brown curly hair and his father's blue eyes, he may be small in stature, but his smile has the power to brighten any room. Nathan, no running, please. Sorry, but the pancakes just smell so good. Nathan sat at the table, looking delightedly at my special pancakes. Mom, thank you for making peanut-free pancakes for me again today. Of course, sweetheart. I love seeing your smile. After breakfast, we rushed to get ready. Another busy day awaited me as a sales manager at Century 21 Real Estate. I smoothed my shoulder-length brown hair and slipped into my smart business suit, taking extra care with my makeup to hide the fatigue. Nathan, do you have everything you need? Yes. I packed my homework and textbooks. What about your EpiPen? It's safely in my bag. We got in the car and drove towards school. The desert landscape visible through the car window told the story of another morning in suburban Phoenix. Mom, guess what? We're doing a solar panel experiment in science class today. That's wonderful. Your father loved science too. I know. Dad always showed me cool experiments. Arriving at school, other parents were dropping off their children as usual. Then I spotted Karen Rogers, with her perfect blonde hair and designer clothes. Well, Jennifer. Running late again. It must be so hard balancing work and single parenting. I had no choice but to ignore the sarcasm behind those words. Karen always looked down on others with her intimidating attitude, using her position as PTA vice president. Goodbye, Nathan. Have a good day. Bye, Mom. Work hard today. When I picked him up that afternoon, Nathan seemed different as he got into the car. What's wrong? Did something happen? Billy made fun of me. About my allergy. Oh, sweetheart. But it's okay. I'm stronger now. Those words broke my heart. That evening during dinner, Nathan suddenly spoke up. Mom, for my birthday party, I want to invite everyone from class. Everyone, including Billy. Yes, maybe we can all become friends. I felt tears welling up at my son's kindness. You're right. Let's prepare the best birthday party ever. Yay! I'll help with the preparations. I nodded at Nathan's suggestion while smiling at Michael's photo. Surely, he would be proud of how our son was growing up. Saturday morning, my heart started racing the moment I woke up. Today was Nathan's 9th birthday party, meant to be a special memory in our son's life. The decorations we'd prepared the day before sparkled in the morning sun throughout the living room. Mom, are you up? Nathan's voice called from upstairs. Good morning, and happy birthday. I hugged my son as he rushed down the stairs. Though there were still hours until the party, his eyes were already shining with excitement. After breakfast, we immediately began our final preparations. Blue and white balloons swayed elegantly from the ceiling, and a banner reading, Happy 9th Birthday Nathan, adorned the living room wall. Tables and chairs were already set up in the backyard, with plenty of space for the children to run around. Nathan, should we move the balloons a bit more to the right? That looks better. Mom, what kind of cake did you get? I ordered something special, of course. A custom cake that's safe for you to eat. I answered while thinking about the allergy-safe cake I had double-checked. I'd ordered it from the most trusted bakery in town, having them verify all ingredients. The table was already set with carefully selected snacks and treats, all checked for ingredients and completely peanut-free. I had placed EpiPens in 3 locations: on the living room side table, on the kitchen counter, and in the backyard first aid kit. Emergency contact numbers were posted near the phone. We couldn't have been more prepared. Past noon, we were working on the final preparations. "Mom, is this good for the present table?" "Yes, but let's move it a bit closer so everyone can reach it easily." As Nathan and I were moving the table, the doorbell rang. Looking at the clock, it was before 2 o'clock, too early for any guests. Opening the door, there stood Karen Rogers. Perfect blonde hair, designer dress, and in her hands, a box from an unfamiliar upscale patisserie. "You're early, Karen." "Yes, I thought I could help with preparations. I had this specially ordered from a famous pastry chef I know. It's allergy safe, of course. With this, you won't need the cake you prepared, right?" I was speechless. Refusing would surely create hostility. But accepting a cake from an unknown patisserie. "Thank you, but I already have an ordered cake." "Well, more options are better for the children, don't you think? Everyone will love my cake." There was no room to argue against the pressure in her words. Guests began arriving one after another. Classmates entered the house excitedly, carrying presents wrapped in colorful paper. Parents formed chatting circles, and the house filled with festive energy. "Hey, is Billy coming too?" I heard one of his friends ask Nathan. "Yes, I gave him an invitation." His response carried a mix of small hope and anxiety. Around 3 o'clock, Billy arrived with his mother. Looking somewhat awkward, he held out his present. Happy birthday." "Thanks, I'm glad you came." In that moment, I thought I saw a small sign of reconciliation between them. Finally, it was time for cake. As I was about to bring out the cake I had prepared, Karen stepped in front of me. "Since we have it, let's start with my cake." In front of all the gathered participants in the living room, Karen gracefully opened the box. It was indeed a beautiful cake, decorated with blue and white cream, with "Happy Birthday Nathan" written in gold. The children cheered. As camera flashes went off, the candles were lit. "Here, Nathan. Take the first bite." There was something unnaturally excited about Karen's voice. As Nathan raised his fork to his mouth, my instincts screamed a warning. But it was too late. "Mom, can't breathe." Nathan's face began flushing rapidly. Clawing at his throat. His pained expression. The moment I witnessed this scene, my world stopped. Children screamed. Parents panicked. I reflexively grabbed the EpiPen and jabbed it into my son's thigh. Someone had already called an ambulance. Karen's face turned pale. It can't be my cake's fault. They told me it was allergy safe." Her words seemed to come from far away. My focus was entirely on my suffering son. The sound of approaching sirens. the medical team's footsteps rushing into the house. Everything felt like slow motion, detached from reality. "Ma'am, we're taking him to the hospital immediately." The paramedic's voice finally brought me back to my senses. "Nathan, it's all right. Mommy's right here." In the ambulance, I held my son's hand, watching his face with something like a prayer. Though Nathan's condition stabilized shortly after arriving at the hospital, there seemed to be other concerns hidden in the doctor's expressions. The doctor called me outside the treatment room. "Please look at this." I peered at the test results the doctor showed me. "Have you seen this before?" "It's a special additive not found in normal commercial sweets. And this concentration is unnaturally high." In that moment, I felt my blood freeze. Various memories raced through my mind like a film reel. Karen's unnatural behavior. The unfamiliar patisserie box. And that slight sense of something wrong. "Mrs. Wilson, this might not have been an accident." The doctor's words turned my suspicions into certainty. "I need to go. But the tests are still. Please. Just give me a little time." Leaving Nathan's grandmother watching over him as he slept, I left the hospital. It was past 9 p.m., but I drove through the darkness to our house. Inside, evidence of the party from just hours ago remained vivid. Scattered balloons. The half-cut cake. Children's footprints. Everything reminded me of this nightmarish reality. There must be evidence, something. With trembling hands, I began searching through the garbage. Among the party debris, I found what I was looking for, the box from Karen's cake. A small sticker was on the back of the box. "Le Patisserie Elegante." An unfamiliar store name. Searching on my smartphone, it was a renowned patisserie in Phoenix's upscale residential area. Digging further through the trash, I found something unexpected. An empty container of special baking additives. On the patisserie receipt was a telling scribble. "Thoroughly. Make sure. But don't let them notice." Seeing those words, my spine froze. This was clearly Karen's handwriting. I recognized the distinctive characteristics I'd seen many times on PTA documents. Despite the late hour, I immediately drove to La Patisserie Elegante. Though closed, light leaked from the employee entrance. "I'm sorry, we're closed, but..." "My son went into anaphylactic shock today from a cake from your shop." The expression of the man who appeared to be the owner changed. "Mrs. Rogers's order. So you know about it." She made quite specific requests. When shown the security camera footage, there was Karen having what appeared to be a private conversation with the pastry chef. After paying at the register, receiving a clearly suspicious package. Actually, I was concerned. She insisted we use additives she brought herself. Additives? Yes. Though labeled allergy safe, it was an unfamiliar product. After taking photos of the evidence, I headed straight to the police station. The nighttime station was wrapped in an unusual silence. "This is a serious accusation. The detective carefully examined the evidence I presented. Security camera footage, receipts, additive containers, these strongly suggest intent. Just then, my cell phone rang. It was the hospital. Mrs. Wilson, we have additional blood test results. This is definitely. The doctor's voice was shaking. This isn't a normal allergic reaction. We detected extremely high concentrations of chemical substances. The police moved immediately. Despite the late hour, a warrant was issued. Karen's home was particularly luxurious, even in the upscale neighborhood. When the intercom was pressed, lights came on after a moment. What do you want at this hour? The blood drained from Karen's face as she opened the door. Mrs. Karen Rogers. Would you please come with us voluntarily? In the interrogation room, Karen quickly began to break down. That boy called my son a bully. He ruined my reputation in the PTA. I just wanted to teach him a lesson. Karen began confessing through tears. Her confession revealed how frighteningly planned it all was. I got the allergy information from the school nurse's records, paid the pastry chef a large sum to keep quiet, ordered the additives from a specialized trading company. I just meant to scare him a little. I never thought it would turn out like this. The detective gave me a knowing look. They had enough evidence. Before dawn, I returned to the hospital. Nathan had woken up and spoke to me in a weak voice. Mom. Nathan. Thank goodness. What happened to the party? I'm sorry. It was ruined, wasn't it? No. I was happy everyone came. Those words brought tears to my eyes again. But this time, they were different tears. Tears of relief that justice would prevail. That I could protect my loved one. And most of all, that this pure soul remained unharmed. I'm okay now. I was scared, but I'm so sorry, Nathan. I should have checked more carefully. It's not your fault, Mom. Holding my son's hand, I looked out the window. The dawn light announced the beginning of a new day. In the misty morning of suburban Phoenix's upscale neighborhood, 3 police cars and 2 unmarked police vehicles quietly arrived in front of the Rogers mansion. The clock showed 8 a.m. Neighbors peered curiously through gaps in their curtains. 4 uniformed officers and 2 plainclothes detectives walked orderly to the entrance. Behind them, local media crews could be seen. Had someone leaked the information, or had they sensed the police movement? The doorbell rang. After a moment of silence, the door opened. Mrs. Karen Rogers, you are under arrest for attempted murder. The detective's voice in his suit cut through the morning stillness. The blood drained from Karen's face as she stood in her mansion's doorway. Though wearing an expensive silk robe, she had completely lost the dignity she'd shown until yesterday. Wait. This is a misunderstanding. But the evidence was clear. The patisserie's security footage. Records of special additive purchases. And above all, her own confession. Karen. What is this about? David Rogers came running down from the second floor. Even his face, as an influential local business owner, couldn't hide his distress. David. I. Karen being handcuffed in front of her distraught husband looked like a scene from a high-end drama. After the police car drove away, the community was wrapped in shock. An emergency parent meeting was scheduled at the school. Val Vista Lakes Elementary School's auditorium. The space usually used for children's presentations and school events was filled with unusual tension today. Over 300 parents sat silently, waiting for the principal's explanation. First, I want to sincerely apologize to Wilson Cohen and his family for this incident. The principal's voice shook. Though a veteran with over 30 years of teaching experience, this must be his first time dealing with such a situation. As a school, we absolutely cannot condone such a premeditated harmful act by the PTA vice president. Sighs and sounds of distress escaped from the audience. The police report continued. As the investigation details were revealed, the parents' expressions grew increasingly tense. I would like to present specific proposals for a new safety management system. The vice principal stepped forward to begin his presentation. A new allergy response system, enhanced security, and a complete reorganization of the PTA. After the parent meeting, people came to speak to me one after another. Among them were those who had previously been cold to me under Karen's influence. A few days later, I was meeting with my lawyer. Mrs. Wilson, the prosecution intends to seek the maximum sentence. Is there enough evidence? Yes. Security camera footage, purchase records, medical records, and her own confession. A guilty verdict is certain. Returning home after the meeting, Nathan was waiting with a serious expression. Mom, I'll take the witness stand. I want to tell everyone the truth. But Nathan, aren't you scared? It's okay. Because you'll be watching over me, right? His determination left me speechless. My son was showing strength beyond his 8 years. The morning of the trial. The Gilbert District Court was filled with tense atmosphere. All rise. The Honorable Judge entering. The trial began in a solemn atmosphere. The prosecutor's opening statement was powerful. The defendant endangered an 8-year-old boy's life merely for revenge. This is unacceptable behavior as a parent, as an educator, and above all, as a human being. Karen kept her head down in the defendant's seat. Gone were her former dignity and arrogant attitude, leaving only the figure of a frightened middle-aged woman. Witness testimonies continued. The pastry chef, doctor, police officer, and Nathan. Though small in stature, my son stood firmly at the witness stand. That day, I was really looking forward to it. I thought it would be a chance to become friends with everyone. Nathan spoke with a trembling voice but never backed down. Everyone in the courtroom was moved by his courage. After the final arguments, the time for judgment finally came. Defendant Karen Rogers, I sentence you to 5 years in prison. The judge's voice echoed through the courtroom. The sentencing reasons included aggravating factors such as premeditation, victim being a minor, and abuse of position as an educator. After the verdict, amid the rush of reporters, the school announced new safety measures. A complete review of allergy protocols, PTA reform, and strengthened anti-bullying programs. This incident became a catalyst for strongly advocating the importance of school safety to society. On the drive home, Nathan spoke softly in the car. "Mom, we did the right thing, didn't we?" "Yes, you were very brave. Now everyone can go to school safely." Our car continued driving toward a new tomorrow. First day of the new semester, 1 year later. The Arizona morning sun streamed through the kitchen window just like always. Michael's photo still hung in the same place. "Mom, I'm starting 5th grade today." My son, now taller, called out with a stronger voice. In his new uniform, he looked remarkably grown up. "Nathan, you've really grown." On the breakfast table, as usual, were allergy-safe pancakes. However, this was no longer something special. Since the incident, the whole school had thoroughly implemented allergy safety measures, including special menu options in the cafeteria. "Hey, we're getting a new teacher today." "Oh really?" "They say she specializes in supporting children with allergies." The school had changed significantly after the incident. New safety management systems, allergy-safe school lunches, and a new curriculum called the Empathy Education Program. Children were learning the importance of understanding and supporting each other's differences. On the way to school, we heard a familiar voice. "Nathan, wait up." Turning around, there was Billy. He had transferred schools to receive counseling but was returning this semester. "I've been thinking a lot during counseling. I've been through a lot too." Their conversation no longer held any tension. Instead, there was warmth between them as friends who had grown together. Arriving at school, the former PTA room had been transformed into a community support center. It functioned as a place where parents could freely gather and discuss parenting concerns. The previous power structure had been completely dissolved, replaced by a network of mutual support. "Good morning, Mrs. Wilson." Sarah Johnson, the new PTA president, greeted me with a warm smile. Under her leadership, the PTA had returned to what it should be. Regular safety workshops. Strengthened cooperation between parents. And most importantly, all decisions were now made through open discussion. During lunch break, I stopped by the school between work commitments. In the courtyard, children were playing happily. Among them, I could see Nathan and Billy playing basketball with other children. I suddenly thought of Karen. Her letter from prison had arrived 2 months ago. My actions are unforgivable. However, this experience has made me reconsider how to live as a human being. I hope to someday give back to society what I've learned through the rehabilitation program. I sensed genuine remorse in those words. I heard that Karen's husband had remarried, and their son was adapting well to his new environment. It was their own way of making a fresh start. The incident had greater social impact than expected. Revision of the School Safety Act. Mandatory allergy measures. Enhanced anti-bullying programs. Our experience became a catalyst for making the future a little safer for many children. In the evening, I was preparing for Nathan's new birthday party. This year, we'd borrowed the school's multipurpose hall to invite more friends. All the food was allergy safe. And most importantly, all the children's smiles brightened the place. We've grown stronger, I whispered while smiling at Michael's photo. Dad, are you watching? I quietly nodded at Nathan's words. In the twilight park, after finishing the final preparations, we sat on a bench for a while, looking up at the sky. Children playing on the equipment. Parents chatting. A gentle breeze seemed to announce the arrival of a new season. Mom, I've decided I want to become a pediatrician. I want to help children who struggle with allergies. At those words, I couldn't help but hug my son. Our difficult experience had indeed made us stronger. And more than anything, it had taught us the kindness of caring for others. The light of a new dawn quietly enveloped Phoenix. Our story was about to begin a new chapter.